Hello again, YouTube! This is Dr.Kendo, and I wanted to try my hand at analyzing a trailer actually for something really cool that had just come up. It's the next installment in the Sonic the Hedgehog series. So let's get going! On February 6th, SEGA announced their third exclusive Sonic title that they have with Nintendo in their previously mentioned 3-title exclusivity deal. The game is called Sonic Boom, and it will actually be available for both Wii U and 3DS. And there will even be a CG animated TV show to accompany these games as well. And guess what else? There will also be a new toy line to top it all off, so fans have that to look forward to. But Sonic Boom is a welcome addition to the franchise for me, and I'll explain why in a second. The game also features a redesign of the core Sonic crew, which is Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy. I want to emphasize that SEGA did say that these redesigns are not meant to replace Sonic and his friends' images. This is just a new puzzle piece, in essence, in the Sonic universe, and a fun new way to engage fans with kind of a new look. Something interesting on that note, coming from Sega's website, says, and I'll quote, "Sonic Boom's visual identity includes character designs inspired by the abilities and unique personalities of each of the characters, while still maintaining the core identity and values of the Sonic brand. The rich worlds of the TV series and video game will share a common narrative and a number of location and stylistic similarities, reflecting full collaboration between video game, TV series partners, and SEGA from the outset." I think this is true, regarding the character designs, because when you look at the crew here, you can see that some of the designs, maybe not every aspect, but some aspects of their designs do fit the characters. I actually feel like they all look a little bit more grown up, and by that I don't mean anything really extreme, but just a little. And the design for Tails in particular is the one that I think most fits how they've sort of groomed Tails to be this sort of nerd, techie, brilliant young fox, because you can see that he's carrying a bag with some tools, and he has his flight goggles, which is appropriate since he flies the tornado plane of old. And when you move on to Knuckles, I know that there has been some controversy with his design, and people are noting how it looks like he has taken steroids or has only been working on the upper half of his body when he hits the gym. But honestly, I gotta say, I actually really like the design a lot. And believe me, I'm a guy who typically hates change and believes in the whole, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. And now for Amy's new look, it's obvious that they've kind of sexied her up just a bit, but I don't really think that they overdid it, although we'll see how she talks and acts in the games. In the past, she was always sort of loud and childish, but who knows if they'll make her a little more sultry and seductive or something like that, I don't know. I'm not saying that I want them to, I'm just pointing out based on her redesign, and it seems as though Amy is actually the one that we heard from the least in this trailer that we're about to talk about, as far as the voices go for each of the characters. Lastly, Sonic is almost like his modern Sonic look, but he's now wearing this brown bandana scarf thing, and he, like most of the other characters now too, also has bandages wrapping around his knuckles, wrists, ankles, and/or shoes. Now, SEGA also had this to say about the video game version on their website, and I'll quote again. "Serving as a prequel to the stories revealed in the TV series, the Sonic Boom video game will deliver a totally different experience to previous Sonic games with collaborative gameplay at its core. Developed in the US by California-based Big Red Button Entertainment for the Wii U and Sanzaru Games for Nintendo 3DS, in collaboration with Sonic Team, this is the third title to be released as part of an exclusive deal with Nintendo. Sonic Boom will take advantage of the innovative hardware of both the Wii U and Nintendo 3DS, with traditional elements of Sonic games, such as speed, also featured. The video game will also introduce exploration, combat, and a new inner beam tether mechanic that will allow the Sonic Boom world to be discovered in totally unique ways." So this is where I really want to talk about some things that we saw in the trailer. I just mentioned the part about the inner beam, of course, and at first I thought maybe only Tails had it, but I've since noticed images and whatnot suggesting that each of the characters will be using it. Definitely interesting, and it seems that it's possible that this inner beam tether could maybe also be this laser that we see Tails shooting in this clip here. So it could be that the inner beam tether is not just for exploring, but also used as a projectile or blaster. But relating back to the whole exploring thing, you see Sonic kind of ziplining almost with the tether right here in this clip. So perhaps it has multiple purposes is basically what I'm getting at. SEGA also mentioned traditional elements of the Sonic series being used, with the example they gave being speed. And we notice in this clip of all 4 characters running that it seems to be like in Sonic Heroes that your whole team can keep up with each other. Mostly we'd obviously wonder, can Tails, Amy, and Knuckles really keep up with Sonic? I actually offer you this thought. Could it be just at certain times that we see them all keep up with Sonic? Like maybe only for certain fast parts of the game, kind of like in Sonic Heroes, where you would switch to the flying or the power member of the team, and suddenly the team slows down as a whole. I say this because we can also look at the parts where just Knuckles is shown or where only Amy is shown in the trailer, and it seems as though the speed is slowed down a bit. Whereas we see Sonic running at top speed over water at one point, kind of like he could in the Genesis days, and of course beyond in more modern titles. I also noticed that Tails says the words warp speed. Warp speed! I'm not really sure if that's important or not, as he might just be saying this in kind of a way that's like, hey, we're gonna move really fast. Or is warp speed really the official name of a function in the game, maybe, where at any warp speed segment of the level, you're officially about to move really fast? I don't know, I'm kind of thinking like it could be the move. You know how some characters in video game history have announced their moves? Well, it could be like they're announcing their move that they're gonna boost really fast, it's called warp speed. Anyway, something else that's really fascinating is the game appears like it could have single player and multiplayer playability, but that's only speculation at this point, as far as I know. We see clips where there are all 4 characters on screen, clips with only 2 or 3 of them, and then clips where there is only one of the characters on the screen. But something really exciting to note to me is that there's a clip of Amy and a Tails clip here that shows me that perhaps there could be either some asymmetric gameplay with the gamepad, like how Call of Duty or Sonic Racing Transformed allowed you to play multiplayer, but without sharing the same screen. And here's actually why I say that. In these clips, we actually see Amy and we see Tails both moving with the screen independently, moving freely from Sonic, who also appears in the clips with them. The possibilities could be numerous, and it's all speculation from me at this point still, of course. But what if, and this could be a long shot, but what if that means online multiplayer? Everyone would just see kind of what they see on screen following their character, independent of whoever else is playing. But perhaps like Super Mario 3D World or some similar other game, you may not be able to stray like too far from your party, maybe? I don't know. Again, I'm just kind of coming up with ideas here. The screen might indicate somehow when you're too far away from the rest of your team. I don't know, again, I'm just spitballing here. But the graphics and the levels and everything looks pretty cool, of course taking advantage of the Wii U's graphical capabilities, and of course they also said that the 3DS will have a version of the game as well. And maybe in that same vein of the gamepad and the 3DS both having a touchscreen feature, possibly you'll use the inner beam tether with the touchpad, so kind of like when you would use Wisp powers in Sonic Lost World, you would swipe across the gamepad to make yourself kind of go really fast along the path. That would be for the laser wisp, is what I'm referring to. Now, another thing that is great, in my opinion, of course, is that this could also kind of blend Sonic Adventure with some of the other Sonic games, just because it does look that there is going to be kind of those times where there's combat, evidenced by some of these clips here. But also we noticed that there are 4 clips where you can kind of see each of the characters' unique abilities, like Tails is flying, he's spinning his little tails and flying, and Knuckles can actually dig and move forward. So it's like in the Sonic Adventure series, you used to be able to dig underground, but you couldn't move while you were there, so it looks like he actually moves forward while he's digging. Who knows how long this could actually go on, but then he does like this uppercut when he's coming back out. So perhaps it'll be a good way to evade enemies and then get the upper hand on them. No pun intended, or maybe pun intended. And of course, Amy has her hammer, and we see it used in various ways. One actually to note that's kind of interesting is she's using it to propel herself right here in this clip. Really short clip, but she kind of propels herself over this, what looks to be dangerous acid, basically, some kind of green sludge material down below. Now, another thing to notice here in this clip, I showed it earlier when I was talking about Tails and the laser beams and stuff, is that Sonic, you can see off to the side, he breaks these rocks, but he doesn't seem to actually hit them. He jumps up in the air, and so perhaps that's Tails busting them with whatever this laser gun is that he's using. That could be a possibility, but also Sonic might have some kind of ability or whatever. Maybe that's just like in Sonic 3, you could jump on the rocks or whatever, and he didn't actually touch them, I think, in some instances or whatever. So perhaps that's just an early development thing, I don't know. But you see a bunch of rings come out after that, and then they all just kind of get absorbed to Sonic. Did you notice that? Right there. But we can also see that so far we haven't really confirmed that Knuckles can glide or climb on walls, but we do see him actually sticking his spiky knuckles up into the ceiling, and he's basically monkey barring or, climbing the ceiling in essence. He's traversing it in some way or another at least. And so we see Amy here spinning her hammer, so clearly she can use the hammer in multiple ways, as I mentioned before, but also to note is that Sonic seems to be kicking the enemy. He does like some kick move. I think it looks kind of martial artist looking, type move, so Sonic may have some kind of epic martial arts skills or whatever, but breakdancing style kicks and stuff, which reminds me a little bit of Smash Brothers, I guess. But yeah, all in all, I mean, I think that that's good that, they're kind of giving it a fresh take. The SEGA has been trying that a lot, and some people say they fail, some people say they succeed, some people say here's where they fail or here's where they succeed. And so I think that, obviously we need to know more information before we can start really clarifying all these speculations that I've made. But perhaps there's going to be, a good story element, a good platforming element, a combat element to it. So I think it is shaping up to actually be a very promising installment in the Sonic series and a kind of a good way to round out the 3-title exclusivity deal that SEGA has with Nintendo for Sonic. So go ahead, and since I've analyzed this trailer right here, go ahead and put your comments and feedback down below on something that you might have found, because I've only given this, 2 or 3 views so far for the trailer before my analysis. I wanted to get it out quickly, so I haven't even really gotten the chance to fully break down everything, probably. But the last thing that I'll note is actually that, SEGA mentioned that the game is being produced alongside Big Red Button Entertainment on the Wii U, at least. And that actually, Big Red Button, I believe they have somebody who works for them that used to do work on the, Crash Bandicoot series, basically with Naughty Dog Studios. And so that's kind of interesting, because, I hadn't really heard of Big Red Button Entertainment, and they are a California-based studio. And the other interesting thing to me about this is that this will be the second time, I guess, only that SEGA has actually used a North American studio for their partnership. And, I could be wrong or whatever. It's just that the only other time that I can recall that actually happening was with BioWare creating Sonic Chronicles, the Dark Brotherhood game on the DS. I actually really liked that game a lot. So, that was another instance where Sonic had kind of changed, the franchise had changed a little bit, and it went towards this RPG element, and I actually really liked it, again, where I'm a guy who hates change typically and hates to see things of my childhood get kind of screwed. So again, I appreciate your attention, give me your feedback, and of course, thanks for viewing.